Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about finally volume 3 of The Climber, where I'm going to start with this because again I have my notes. Where I'm going to pick up is where I left off with my thoughts on the last volume. The last volume, the way it ended, kind of put me in a place where either I'm going to continue this series and really love it, or it's kind of setting down a path where I'm not too eager to pick it up. Or not too eager. I still love this, so just take this with the knowledge that I do still... My dog's drinking water right here, in case you hear that. I want you to take this with the knowledge that I do love this series, so it's not coming from a place of like, I absolutely don't know if I even like it anymore. Like, I definitely still like this series. So where we left off last time was the scene at the end of volume 2. I didn't know how I felt about it. So now when I read, or when I started reading volume 3, the main thing I was looking for was how was it going to bring up that scene that ended volume 2, or how it was going to affect the story, which at first it definitely continued to keep it at the forefront of the story. It definitely doesn't stay at the forefront. It's definitely something that is used as kind of like a stepping stone from the change in the story that happens in volume 2, and then the kind of plot line that starts in volume 3. I feel like there's if you don't know, I'm not going to spoil anything, but in volume 2 there's a very clear divide in the story, where volume 1 and the first half of volume 2 is this story. Something happens and then it becomes something else because of that. And I feel like the rest of volume 2 was kind of like up in limbo, the same way that Mori is up in limbo in the end of volume 2. And you feel that with the story, how we don't really know where it's going now. So many different things are happening. We kind of get certain things happen and we're like, is it going to go in that direction? And then it doesn't. And then you're thinking, well, like, what's going to happen now? And I feel like what happened at the end of volume 2 was kind of used as like the stepping stone to get to where the story ends up actually moving to, if you get me. I definitely don't, I am not a man, I'm not a boy, I don't have that same brain, so I don't understand it too well, but I also understand that I don't understand it, so I take it from a place of everyone's different, everyone has different experiences, everyone is affected by different experiences differently, so I'm kind of taking it from a place of that, where I don't get how what happened affected Mori, affected him that way. If I said that, I don't understand how what happened at the end of volume 2 ended up affecting him the way it did. But I am taking it as this is just more development in his character, which I'm all for. But kind of setting that aside and continuing the story, I do really enjoy kind of where we're going with it. Something that I do really like about how it's being used in volume 3 is we're really seeing finally a crack in Mori's walls, which is very different from what we get in volume 1 and volume 2. I'm saying volume, but it's the omnibus, but just for the sake of this video I'm going to use volume. But in volume 1 and volume 2 he is such a reserved character, and he is so reserved it doesn't just feel like something he is to other characters, it feels like he's that way towards us as readers as well. Like, we don't get a lot of his character, a lot of his thoughts, we don't know what he's thinking. He's a very mysterious character, and it's great when we get to have the same experience as characters around our main character, where as his walls are breaking because of what happened, and how it's affecting him, and other characters are seeing these breaks, we as readers are getting to experience it in much the same way of finally getting part of who Mori is and how things affect him, and kind of seeing that he is human. He is able to be affected by things. He is able to stumble. He is able to just be affected, because I feel like in the beginning we kind of just see like, not that nothing affects him, but that we don't get to see anything that affects him, or we don't get to see how things affect him, because he's perfected and cemented these walls around him. I love that now in volume 3 we kind of get to finally see a crack in his composure, that he's not this like perfectly composed mysterious person. We finally get to see a crack, and these cracks continue. We finally get to see like things that he's kind of insecure about. We get to see things that make him nervous, and then we finally get to see him, a little bit of a spoiler, how he actually tries to build friendships, rather than in the beginning he's like, oh, I do not care what the circumstances are, I do not want to climb with a partner, or I don't want to be friends with other people, or I don't need a group. This whole like I don't need anyone persona, we finally get to see a crack in that. And yes, there's a reason other than him like wanting to have friends. It's definitely still just about wanting to climb, but it's just so interesting to see how he navigates those circumstances. I am very happy in volume 3 we are getting so much more of our main character, which I feel like him as a main character has been almost like having a statue or a block as our main character for the longest. He's very hard statue, hard walls, rough edges, and having kind of that as our main character to now finally having a human as our main character, if that makes sense. Really enjoying it. The series definitely has not disappointed me yet. As much as I was a little worried after volume 2, I was not disappointed. One thing I will say, which isn't a bad thing because series are not made to have characters just for you to like. I hate every single character. Now, at least like in the beginning, there were some characters that I was like, I can see how I will gain affection for this character or this dynamic that's forming. Now it's like, wow, they all suck. They're all horrible people. I hate them. I don't like a single one of them. Anytime a character is introduced, you can be sure that something is going to happen to make you absolutely hate that character. So that's one thing I will say. Again, not a problem. I have no problem with unlikable characters, even an unlikable main character. I just wanted to say that because as I was reading this volume, I had to stop and write a note just to be like, God, they suck. Saying that though, these new characters have brought so many new personalities and new kind of like, not dynamics because I don't think they're formed yet, but the possibilities of new different types of dynamics. And it's interesting because it gives another sort of layer of getting more out of who Mori is, because you get to see how he navigates all these different personalities and all these different situations he gets into because of these kinds of people. And it really just shows us another side to him of how he actually feels about being alone, and how he feels when he's cornered, and how he reacts to certain situations that we wouldn't have seen before in the story because he was so just guarded and not really letting us even see his reactions to things, to not really know what he like doesn't like and likes. All we would hear is he wants to solo climb and he doesn't want to be around people, and now we're kind of seeing it's not because he doesn't want to be around people, it's for other reasons. Another thing that I've talked about with both volume 1 and volume 2 already, but has been so much more elevated in this volume is the art of this series. I've repeated myself a million times. The art of this series is so incredibly beautiful, but on top of it being beautiful in this volume, I love how art is just used as a way to fill in the gap between how much Mori expresses in his emotions, or of his emotions, and what he doesn't show us. The art becomes not just a way to show you the landscape and to show you a situation someone's in, but to become so much more abstract, to try and show us Mori's emotions or show us his reactions to things when he still tries to be guarded. Just another way of us getting more insight into who he is as a person and making him more human in this volume. But even without that, the art that's used just to show the landscape is still so incredibly beautiful and still so much more elevated than the other two volumes, which is making me really excited to see like if this continues to be elevated throughout the series. It's also being used to show us the dynamics being formed. Like I said, these new personalities, I don't really see dynamics being formed yet, but there's definitely a way that we're seeing everyone and their relation to everyone else through art, and it is just so beautiful, and we're getting so much more as far as like understanding the other characters, at least starting to, in a way. One thing that is just a note that I wrote down that is hilarious, and you only know if you read it. There's a scene where he goes, I'm just gonna say, there is a scene where he runs away from someone. He runs away from a girl, and that scene, oh my god, I was like, where are your manners? What are you doing? But just while I was watching the scene, I was watching it like, oh my god, like secondhand embarrassment. I reread that like specific scene a few times because I just found it so funny. I will say, I think this is the volume that has finally like established what this series is going to be. At least I'm assuming. Again, I haven't read past this volume. I'm assuming that this is the volume that's actually really firmly establishing what the series is going to be, and I'm really excited for that. Like I said, at the end of volume 2, we get kind of this like feeling like everything's up in the air, and everything feels that way too. And it feels that way still at the beginning of volume 3, and then slowly it starts going more towards a center. And I feel like we're finally, if not there, we're definitely very close to what direction this series is going to go into. And I'm very excited to continue. This has been great. I wrote a note saying that this series, and I really hope it happens, I think it's getting popular enough, or it is popular enough where it's a possibility. But I feel like this series really needs to be an anime because, like I said, the art has been so incredible, not just how beautiful and detailed it is, but in how it's being used to navigate emotions and dynamics and circumstances and all these different things, and just on top of it, just plainly how beautiful it is. All this series is missing is just amazing music. And when they do make this an anime, because it will be an anime, there needs to be so much effort in the music, because that is the final detail in this series to make it just perfect. I'll say that word. Perfect. And then my final note is just me saying I really hate all the characters, and I miss when I liked the characters in the beginning. So those are all my thoughts. Like I said, this is a beautiful series. I'm really enjoying myself. If you haven't picked this up already, I think you really should. Something that's funny is I have not bought any of the copies. Like, I don't have any volumes, and I am still like, there is no movement in my hold at the library for volume 4. So I'm gonna give myself a little break because I am going to read some other things because I've only been focusing on this series, and I kind of want to check out some other series or continue other series for a little bit. But if I still don't get volume 4 after that time, which might be like a couple weeks or maybe all of March, I'm definitely going to buy it. I'm gonna buy volume 4 at least, and then kind of work my way back to get the other volumes, or I'll start the other way. I don't know, or if I find a good deal for all of them. But yeah, that was my thoughts for volume 3, all of them, I'm pretty sure. I got a new sweater. It says Soul Reaper. Very cozy. I wanted to show it off in this video. Yeah, that was everything. Again, volume 3 of The Climber. Guys, please read The Climber. It's amazing. We need to get more hype so that they make the anime and they put a lot of effort so it comes out amazing, as it should. That was it. I hope you guys liked it. Let me know if you guys have read this far in The Climber, or if you guys are thinking about it, if you understood what I was talking about when I talked about certain scenes. Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what I said. If you've found any other series that are similar, please let me know. There's a void in my heart right now every time I finish a volume of this series, so if you can help me fill that void, let me know. I'd really appreciate it. That's it. Thank you. Bye.